Okay, we don't have much more to go here, okay? What happens here? If I plug it into just a discriminant, all I'm after is the number of solutions. I don't care what they are. That's why, Coco, I don't care, I don't care about the rest of the equation, what the numbers actually are. I just care about the number of solutions. You tell me 1, 2, or 0. That's what this thing's doing for you. It's going to tell you 1, 2, or 0 based on what happens, okay? So you could go through the entire process, use the quadratic equation. You're going to get x equals, and maybe you get x equals, maybe you get 2 x's. I don't know. I haven't done this question in a while. Okay? The discriminant, I'm just going to give you a precursor to this, right? The discriminant is equal to the square root of b squared Okay, I'm just going to plug the ABC values in there and see what happens. So, b squared is negative 8 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 1.
So you don't use the x?
Not for this.
So you don't
The quadratic equation, yes. If I ask you what x equals, you have to use this because it's...
No, I mean so b is negative 8x.
Oh, I see. Yeah, only the coefficients. Only the coefficients, the numbers.
So
Remember if I were to write standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c? A, B, C. They don't include the variables. It's okay? Okay, so what number do we get? We get 64 underneath here. Minus 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Square root. Which is 64 plus 12 square rooted, which equals the square root of okay, that's fine. What's happened here? I'm going to try and formulate the rules for you without actually overwhelming you with the quadratic equation 40 times. Right? I got a positive number under here. I did not get a negative, so that's good, right? That means I have some solution. Could be 1 or 2. It's not 0 because I got a positive, like the thing's going to work is basically the gist. Yeah, Retta? Yes, I'll write it down in a second. If you turn the page over, I'm going to write it down. All nicely summarized for you in a nice little contained box. Okay. I know, you don't know, but I know this means that there's 2 solutions. If you turn your page over, I will now tell you why it is 2 solutions in a little summary chart. This is the discriminant. This is the piece that tells us the number of solutions. If the discriminant is greater than 0, there are 2 solutions, just like what I saw above there. It basically means if you were to do all of the work from the quadratic equation, you would get x1 equals and x2 equals. You'd get 2 numbers. That's what that means. Okay? If d equals 0, I'm just going to go back up here for a sec. You guys turn the page over if you want, or just look up here. What happens if this entire piece is 0? What are you left with? X is equal to negative b over 2a plus minus 0. What are you left with? What are you going to get for x? It's just one answer. Did we see that? You square root 0. You're going to add plus minus 0. You're going to get one answer. So if the discriminant is equal to 0, you get one solution. All right? If the discriminant is less than 0, this is the easy one. If you get a negative number, it breaks the quadratic equation, no solutions. Is everybody okay? This is kind of it's a nice, it's not easy, but at least gives you a little more practice dealing with what's important in the quadratic equation. And it allows you to answer a question without actually doing the entire thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, Coco.
What did you say about the last one?
If you get a negative number underneath here, I'll go back up here and reference the equation again. What happens, Coco, if you get a negative under here? How do you square root a negative number? You can't, so it breaks it. You cannot get two answers. You cannot get any answers because you've broken it. So you get no solutions. Okay? D less than 0 just means negative. That's like our little alligator friend, right? He's eating the bigger thing. Okay? So, I don't know why number 3's there, so we may as well skip that. Let's go to number 4. Basically type the same thing twice, it looks like. Okay, and this is it. Then I'll give you some practice questions. You can lead off period 2 with those practice questions, okay?
Are we doing 4 as practice questions, or are we doing them all?
I'll do 1 or 2 with you. I'll do whatever we have time for. We have 10 minutes, so I'll try and do all 3. Okay? So, let's just look at A. I only care about the square root. D equals the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Let's see what happens when I start plugging in. So for A, this is okay. I'll take a little step back here. I would prefer if everybody just wrote down A equals -1, B equals 4, and C equals -4. Can everybody see where I got those from A? I would actually prefer if everybody did that. Some of you might not need to. I make it a habit of doing it for the sole reason, if I leave off a negative, I'm getting the wrong answer. Like anything else. If I mess up a sign, I'm getting the wrong answer. I'm making the wrong interpretation, that's 1 or 2 marks, right? If you always write what you know, you're never going to miss plugging it in. So in this one, b is 4 squared minus 4 times -1 times -4 square rooted. You actually don't need the square root, but I like writing it there just to solidify, like it's a little bit easier to make the connection with what's going on with the square root there. For the reason of you can't square root a negative number. That eliminates one of your things. So if you write the square root and you get a negative number, you can't do it. You know you get 0 solutions. It's one of the things you don't have to memorize from the list now. You're just memorizing the other 2, right? That's why I put the square root on. So you're going to get 16 minus what? 4 times -1 is going to be -4 times -4. What's it turn to?
Plus 16.
Plus what, sorry?
4 times -1 times -4 is positive 16.
Yeah, positive 16. Okay, that's all this right here. That was horrible. Not too good at drawing those things, actually. Kind of hard.
So where did the -4 go? Because like the -4 plus -1 equals -4.
Just do the math on that. Type in your calculator.
Oh, so you just didn't write it down. But
Yeah, it's 4 times -4, 16, -16, times -1 equals positive 16. But you still have this negative sitting here, right? So it's 16 minus 16, square rooted. It's the square root of 0. What's that mean? Go back up to your list. What's it mean if you have 0? So it's 1 solution. So chances are, what's special about that quadratic? It's a perfect square trinomial. That's not that important. I'm just making connections for you guys. Okay?
What, is it a square trinomial?
Yeah?
No, because to get the square root of x and, or negative x and negative 4.
What?
You just take the negative
You
4.
take the negative out.
Can you do that?
How do you factor that? Square root first? Square root last? Take the sign from b. Okay? They're cool. Like that's I've never come to that conclusion before until I started to run through this today with you, right? So I'm learning things with you. That's why it's not the most important thing in the world, but I think it's kind of cool to relate it back to what we've been doing. Right? If you get a discriminant equal to 0, that's kind of cool. It's a perfect square trinomial. Who would have thought of that? You could go home and tell your parents that one now. Every time he gets a reaction or something, right? Every time. Okay, let's do the next one. Let's do that. I'll try and do them different colors so you can see everything differently. Is it green okay? Yeah. Okay. I'll do this one and then I think you guys get the idea. All that's going to happen is you're going to see an example of all three of them. But, okay. I'd rather just let you guys kind of just have a go at it. You can see that, okay, A equals 4, B equals -3, C equals 2. Plug it into the discriminant. Discriminant equals the square root of b squared minus 4ac. B is -3 squared minus 4 times 2. So you're going to get 9 minus 16 times 2 would be 32. Equals some negative number. I don't care what it is. I'm square rooting a negative. No solutions. They're okay? The last one probably just is a positive number and you get 2 solutions, if I were to guess. Could be wrong though, I don't know. You have to try it. I'll give you the questions. Get the practice questions. You guys can take 5 minutes, work on some stuff, go for break at 9:40. You can come back and we'll lead off with some practice questions with this, okay?